All right, so I've completed quite a bit of the digital inking, and then I realized I wasn't recording my process. But this is how much I have done so far. I just want to complete half of it so that then I can flip it and then add the elements that are asymmetrical. Things like this star eye, I can do that on new layers. So I'm just using black and white paint within Photopea with smoothing turned on, saving it as I go. And trying to work within the deadlines. Darn it, that was going so well. And then I wobbled. Try it from the top. Now, in an ideal world, your inking improves upon your refined sketch because it's got that animator's line. But there's lots of ways to make line art. You can make line art that's really sketchy or hatched. You know, it has lots of things like this in it. Little details. There's no right or wrong way. I just want you to learn about creating digital line art and then coloring behind it. And that discipline is called digital coloring. And if you work in an industry that's old, like comic books, for instance, they have dedicated people that do inking. And they used to do it all by hand, and now they mostly do it digitally. And then you have other artists that are the colorists, that take those digital inks that go on top of someone else's pencils, which are still more often than not done by hand in the comic book industry, but sometimes done digitally. You know what? Let me redo that. And I don't want it to be so close, but there are other ways. Remember, these are just pixels. I don't have to repaint it necessarily because everything about it's good. It's just its placement and size is maybe a little bit off. But instead I could select it. Remember, we studied compositing first so that you understand how this stuff works. Then I can hit Command X, which cuts it out but puts it onto the clipboard. And then I can do Command V to paste it onto a new layer. And then I can do Control T within Photopea just to scale it a little differently, like squeeze it a little bit. So it's not uncomfortably touching the others. I can even rotate it slightly and improve upon it. And then I can use my white ink with my brush and taper this outside edge. The only time that I'll use a locked brush and not a pressure sensitive brush is when I'm doing illustrations for a coloring book. Because coloring books have that kind of computer-made look where all the line weights are really even. But whenever I'm doing illustrations for something other than a coloring book, I tend to use this pressure sensitive. So close, so close. Now this is the pain for inking digitally and inking traditionally. It's when you have to extend a line, you have to pick it up. Because whenever you start, it's not going to be as thick as where you left off the puddle. So the way to deal with that is to go back with your white and taper it where that transition was on both sides. That's especially true when you're closing shapes like circles, ovals, speech bubbles, that kind of thing. Because there's just no easy angle to do them. So here we have one. Luckily, I only need 1/2 of it. And then I can use the rotate to get a better angle for some of the other stuff. So when you're piecing inking together, it's good to do it from the apex of a corner, of a curve, that kind of thing. All right, I just got the inside of this light bulb. I want to keep that fairly thin, a little bit thinner than I sketched it. I think I want to give it a slight curve at the top. Then I want to close off the path at the bottom, so the light inside that light bulb can be a different color. So let's taper that. Okay. I think that's everything on the 1/2. I'm not doing these because these are both fully asymmetrical, so I don't want to copy those over yet. Okay, let's put it back. Let's save our progress. Now, because it's symmetrical design, this is where Photoshop really saves you. I'm going to combine these layers. Command E, merge them together, put them on white. And then I'm going to use my guides. I'm going to use my rulers. Command R, show the rulers. Use my move tool. Bring a ruler that's halfway. It should stick. Or I want to find the halfway. To do that, I'm going to turn my white layer. I'm going to unlock it. Turn it up to 100%. So I'm not distracted by the sketch at all. Zoom in, and I want to get this guide at the perfect halfway mark. It's almost there except for the eyeball. So then I'm just going to move this eyeball. It's very hard for us to freehand symmetry. And then I do Control T. And then I can hold down Shift. Oh, I need to be on the right layer though. Control T. Hold down Shift to distort it. And I can drag that to the center. There we go. If I want to make it maybe a little taller as well. There we go. And now I need to deselect. I need to clean in this gap. So I'm using this center line right here. Some nice bold lines. Okay. So now that I've found that guide, it's that center one, it's not this one, I can push that one back. Don't need this one. All right, now I can use my marquee, my rectangular selection, select right up to the guide, 1/2, Command J, duplicate it. Then duplicate it again. Turn off the one that has stuff on the other side. And then on the one on top, Control T, right click within it, say flip horizontally, hold down Shift, That will help it to stay on the same axis. Except I'm wandering a lot. And then line it up. I can use my arrow keys to get it perfectly halved. Hit return. And then clean up what's missing. So, little things, little artifacts of my symmetrical design. That helps. Ooh, I like how that looks like a demonic face. Here I'm going to use my white. Clean up in here just a little bit. Come on, there we go. Okay. This I don't love. I'm going to clean this up. And then all of us have different designs with different issues where we might need to clean them. Cleaning up your symmetry is particularly difficult because you have to match it on both sides. To be a little thicker there. But it beats having to draw it and try to match symmetry. And then this I don't like. Well, it's kind of interesting. In fact, maybe I will use that and just thicken this line between the two. Okay, now notice that some parts of it look a lot thicker than other parts for the line art. There are ways I can work with that. One is first to merge all of these together. So now it's one line art layer. But I want to turn on my sketch again. And I want to draw the things that are asymmetrical. Like this. I'm going to go ahead and do it on a different layer. I'm going to turn my onion skin on. So I'm going to turn my onion skin on at 60%. Now on a new layer, too thick, I'm going to do these asymmetrical elements that are at the top and bottom. I was thinking of a light bulb, and I was thinking of kind of how you twist a light bulb in. And that will be, instead of the arrows that tell you where to start and stop a maze, this is kind of a way to see where the exit is, which is here, with this little swoosh. Hopefully different enough from Nike that I don't get sued. And then one going in the opposite direction on the top. And I need to change the symmetry of the top here, of the hair. Thicken my brush to do that. And he's going to have a slight calic, which makes room for this swoosh. Here I'm actually use my eraser so I can see the sketch underneath.